This is the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery, where we help you deliver amazing client experiences to grow your clinic.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Grow My Clinic podcast. My name is Jack O'Brien. Fantastic to be with you. And today we have a very special guest, a friend of mine and someone who I've admired for a number of years now. Tristan White is joining us. Tristan, how are you today?
Fantastic, Jack. I'm rapt to be here and I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Great. Well, this is going to be a lot of fun. For those who haven't heard about Tristan before, Tristan is the CEO and founder of the Physio Co, which has been Australia's best place to work who knows how many times now. Tristan, how many times have you won that award?
We've been on the list of Australia's 50 best places to work for 9 consecutive years, Jack.
Amazing. That is an incredible feat. Tristan is the author of Culture is Everything, a book released recently in 2017, I believe, which is now an Amazon bestseller and has become somewhat of a Bible of sorts for clinic owners and non-clinic owners alike. There's principles that apply across the spectrum. So Tristan is a physiotherapist by trade and now leads the Physio Co from the front and is really shaping workplaces that are based around culture. So Tristan, please share us a bit of your story. You've been a physio. When did you study? Where did you study? And what led you to starting the Physio Co as it is now?
Absolutely, Jack. So to start from the start, yes, I'm a physio. I studied at Melbourne Uni, and when Melbourne Uni is now a 3-year doctor physio course, it was a 4-year bachelor course when I did it. So I graduated in 2002, which is a while back now. And I initially had my eye on a career in private practice, and sports physio was where I thought my career was headed. I started my career in that direction. Very quickly had a bit of a challenge of head and heart, to be honest with you, mate. And that my head was telling me that I've made a start and I'm headed towards a private practice sports med career, and my heart wasn't satisfied and didn't feel like it was contributing to the world and doing something that I loved. And so I had a very early pivot before the term pivot was even popular, Jack. And I realised I really enjoyed and got great satisfaction in my professional career from working with older people. And so in just my second year out of uni, I started working at a small nursing home in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. And there I fell in love with the opportunity of working with older people, and the entrepreneur in me saw an opportunity to help a whole lot of older people who were going to be needed in the coming decades. And the Physio Co was born from a early pivot to something that made my heart much happier in my physio career.
It's interesting. Might dig into that a little bit there, Tristan, around that epiphany of wanting to serve elderly folk. I wonder if there's a number of clinic owners who might be listening to this who end up in private practice with the ideal of seeing maybe sports patients or, the glamorous CrossFit athletes and have a clinic that does that. How did you come to that realization, and how did you reconcile that within yourself, that to serve a different clientele from what might be the pin-up of physiotherapy was okay?
Jack, it's so don't get me wrong. It was a decision that I took very. It was a very serious and challenging one, and one that I was uncomfortable telling anyone that I was working with older people for some time. Only very few of my mates realised I'd made a change from my private practice career, because I'll be honest with you, I was a 24-year-old recently graduated physio who told the world I was going to work in sports medicine, and I was working with older people in a nursing home, which is spectacularly less glamorous than what most people had expected. So I was embarrassed. But I tell you what, I would go home from work and I would feel like I'd made a difference with the older people that I was working with. And if you've read the Culture is Everything book, people will understand there's a story about George, who was an older bloke who was really important to me. And then there's other stories like George's roommate Les, Marjorie down the corridor, just older people who I was able to serve as a physio and felt like I was contributing to their life. And when I compared that feeling in my second year as a physio versus the early part I spent in private practice, which just for so many people is a great career direction, for me it just didn't feel right. And To be honest with you, Jack, I would go home from work and I would love the fact that I was growing as a person. I would not like the fact that I felt confined by the contribution to my client's life. And that's how I personally felt.
It's an interesting insight. And I guess the progression of that is that you had to own that identity for yourself. And then as your clinic to recruit physios for aged care, sure is not the easiest of tasks. Again, it's not seen as typically sexy, but you've been able to recruit what is now a gigantic team and maintain a culture that physios and non-clinical staff alike love coming to work. How did you do that?
Yeah, don't know, mate. I joke. But in all seriousness, mate, I am a physio by profession, by trade, and I've been trying to figure this out as I go. There's one thing that I'm now in my Physio Co turned 14 in February of this year, so that means I'm into our 15th year at the Physio Co, which is a long spell. Yeah, thank you. The number one job of a business owner is to stay in business. Is my belief, Jack. You can't do anything great in the world unless you stay in business.
It's true, absolutely true. Doors have got to stay open and profitable.
Yeah, all that. But how do we do it? Jack, it's taken me so long, but I think the more authentic I can be as a person and as a leader and as a physiotherapist and share what drives me and what's important to me and our team, then we can. I honestly believe that in terms of culture, like attracts like. So say that again, like attracts like.
Yes.
And people who are attracted to working in aged care will at least consider working with the Physio Co if we share with them how much we are passionate about it. By the same token, it repels people who are not interested. And again, if we share the purpose, the values, the vision of our aged care focused business, then we don't go attracting people who are just looking for, not just, that's the wrong word, Jack, it's who are looking for a different type of physio or allied health job. So the answer to your question is be authentic, what's important as the owner, as the team, and share that publicly because it will help to attract the right people.
That's interesting. It's fascinating. And so I would imagine, though, you hadn't learned a lot of these lessons from day one. It's been a gradual progression. Can you talk us through the culture is everything system and then how you were able to communicate that with your team in the early days when it was clunky and you're still figuring it out yourself?
Yeah. Perhaps it still is clunky and still trying to figure it out, Jack. It's life is an experiment. There's no question about that.
Right.
But the 4 parts of the culture is everything system is to grow a services business based around building a strong culture. The 4 parts are discover the core is the first one. Document the future is the second part. Execute relentlessly is the third step. And finally, it's show more love. And to a little bit more detail on those, discover the core is about understanding what is the core purpose of an organisation, what does it exist for, who is it here to serve, and the core values are what are the behaviours that us as business owners and as team members do sign up to deliver a memorable experience based upon a set of behaviours that we'll agree to. Let's discover the core. Document the future is about getting the idea of where the practice or the clinic would like to go out of the owner or owner's head, sharing it on paper, sharing it with the team and also clients, so together we can all be aligned as to where we're headed. Third is execute relentlessly. Jack, I can't say this any simpler than it's about doing the hard work over and over and over again, which is there's no secret sauce. There's nothing works except the people in the team. That's the important message there.
Sure. And
lastly, show more love, mate. It's about being grateful and being showing gratitude to your clients, to your team members, and actively looking people in the eye and saying thank you. I really appreciate the work you're doing. And being genuine in the way you go about doing things. So they're the 4 steps of the system.
Okay. So let's talk about number 2, documenting the future. And I think there'd be a lot of clinic owners out there who have grand visions and dreams, whether that's altruistic to help more people or it's financially based or motivated. How did you go with communicating? Because yours are very numbers-based, or a lot of them are at least numbers-based. Yep. Was there any insecurity inside you, or how do you communicate that with team without feeling ashamed or embarrassed externalising it?
Yeah. So, Jack, there's a vulnerability or a nervousness around being a leader, and being uncomfortable is what I've learned to be part of the job. And if I'm not uncomfortable and doing things which are pushing the boundaries and making me feeling somewhat challenged, then I'm probably not doing my job well enough. And it's easy for me to say that in year 15, way back when I was starting the business and growing a team and started to share a vision, I was amazingly uncomfortable sharing that the vision. However, so how I got to the point where I decided that I needed to describe a vision on paper and then share it with my team is that I'd become amazingly frustrated because I could see where the Physio Co could potentially go to and where I wanted it to go in terms of a larger business serving more people and employing more people, because I'm very passionate about creating great employment for people. But I just couldn't get the growth that I was looking for. And it turned out, how on earth could growth potentially happen if we don't share the direction and get people excited about where we could take this together, and also how they can contribute? Because if people don't know what the vision is, how on earth will they ever help to grow a business? So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and it probably speaks to, we build these things up in our head. More often than not, clinic owners that we speak to through Clinic Mastery have these great visions, and they might have documented them in a secret file buried in their Google Drive. But when they get to that place where they feel confident and comfortable enough to share it with their team, create opportunities for the team to buy in, you look back 2 months, 6 months later, and you think, it wasn't so hard to share after all, and the benefits far outweigh the fears. I think often we work ourselves up to not sharing with our team at the expense of progress. And so can you then speak to either specifics in and around the Physio Co with your meeting flow and the importance of gathering as a team, or more generally on why that's important for team culture?
Yes. So regarding vision, just a quick point on vision is that as a business owner and an entrepreneur, I used to think that vision came first. Vision was one of the first steps, and it's become very clear to me, Jack, in my early pivot from my first thought about sports medicine to my direction into aged care was about purpose. It's about what's important to me as an individual and as a professional, and I wouldn't have been able to create a vision for the Physio Co into aged care if I didn't firstly get that purpose right in the first place. It just wouldn't have worked. So important for people to understand purpose and why or belief comes first, and then vision comes second. Regarding sharing the vision, 100% with you, Jack. I was nervous as all can be the first time we shared. I shared the painted picture vision of where the Physio Co would go from 2009 to 2012. We had a smallish team, about 20 people. I shared this vision that I was super excited about with my team, and the response after 10, 15-minute presentation, silence.
Crickets.
You got it. Absolute silence. And that just reinforced the uncomfortableness that I'd had. But I did the only thing that I knew how, and that was ask why. Why the silence? Why? What's happening? And the response from my team was, Tristan, we love it. We would love to be part of that, but we don't know how. We don't know what to do. We're not sure how we're going to move in that direction. And once I understood that was perfectly fine, because I didn't really know how we're going to do it either. But as a team, let's park those insecurities about the how, and let's focus on where we want to go to, and then we work backwards from there to reverse engineer goals. So that's the uncomfortableness. But secondly, Jack, I think a critical bit, and you talk about rhythm, and we've got a lot of rhythms and rituals at the Physio Co, which are part of building a strong culture. And as an example, we update our team every month, at least once a month, on our progress towards what we call the TPC tally, the Physio Co tally. We're on a journey to deliver 2 million consultations to Australian seniors, and it's a crazy goal, it's a crazy idea, but we want to serve as many people as we can. And it's all well and good to have a big goal, but unless you track it and keep people up to date so they can understand their contribution and contribute and align and talk about it and bring it to life, then visions don't necessarily come to life. So keep people involved and up to date as to where your progress is an important lesson that we've learned along the way.
Okay. And you're doing that in a large group setting or via email? Do you have regular weekly catch-ups?
Yeah, we do. So we've got a pretty significant meeting rhythm, Jack. And so we have daily huddles, which I know is part of the Clinic Mastery model. So daily huddles, small teams come together for a short amount of time every day, 5 to 10 minutes or thereabouts. We also have daily huddles, weekly meetings, monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, and annual meetings as well. So at many of those conversations, meetings, there are conversations happening around vision. But in answer to your question, we have something called TPC Talk, which is our monthly newsletter. It goes out via email. That's where the update is on our. That's where the update of our TPC Tally goes out, and then our team leaders grab that information and they share it within their huddle. So it's not only received in a document, but it's also reinforced in the conversations to keep the numbers alive.
That's fantastic. And it is really important that we keep this regular flow and rhythm of meetings so that you can refresh and update your team on vision. I've often heard it said that a CEO's role is just a chief reminding officer. And when you feel like you're sick and tired of banging on about this vision, you've said it ad nauseum, it's only just starting to sink in with your team. So that flow is certainly really important. Tristan, can we rewind back to the start there? And at that time when you've crafted this painted picture vision, you've got a team of 20-ish, I'd imagine you're still straddling the clinician versus business owner chasm. How did you manage that between the mindset of wanting to serve patients on a one-to-one level versus having to lead your team and do the right thing by your team?
Really difficult transition for me, Jack. It was a real, I guess, another head versus heart type of conflict that I was having. And how I describe that is that I'm a physiotherapist. I'm an allied health professional, and how dare I be bold enough to say that I could be, dare I say it, a CEO or an entrepreneur? That's how I felt at the time. And looking back, the sooner I could have made that transition, the more successful I think we could have been professionally as a team, and probably the more settled and effective I could have been as a professional as well. And so I battled with the straddling of the clinician or the practitioner and the business owner, and it got to a point where I think you may have been in your career, Jack, and I certainly have been. I know many others have, and that is doing both and doing neither of them very well.
Sure.
And so I decided to do something that I'm very, very keen on, and that's a trial. And I trialed not treating for a period of time.
Okay.
And the trial worked nicely, and I never looked back. And so I suggest that to people: if you want to try something but you're not sure, you're a bit nervous about, give it a go. Give it a go for a defined amount of time in a defined group of people, and if it doesn't work out, nothing mentioned, nothing lost. But you got to give it a shot.
Yeah, you certainly do. And so let's talk about the transition then to being a business owner. Practically, you now spend a lot of your time with experts that aren't clinical. You've got a team of finance and administration and HR.
Yep.
As someone who is first and foremost a health professional, I know you've done extra study with your masters and things like that, but how do you now spend most of your days talking about things that aren't clinical, and how do you wrestle that? How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, Jack, it's so fascinating because I am a physiotherapist. There's no part of me that doesn't feel like a physio, believe I'm a physio, and yet the activities that I do on a day-to-day basis are so very different to what a practicing clinical physio would be doing. And so I spend my life, I've got small children, we've got little kids here at home, and what do you do, Dad, is a really important question. And the answer is that in all seriousness, I guess I speak to people, I gather information, I do my best to make good decisions, and then I check and gather feedback to again refine those decisions to keep the group of people moving forward. And that's a pretty basic concept, and there's many jobs that are like that, Jack. But I think to reflect on what I learned as a physio student and in the early part of my career, the concept of an initial assessment, identifying the main problems, coming up with a plan, executing the plan, and deciding whether it works or not, and refining and refining and refining is not something that's changed from being a practitioner to being a team leader, to being a business owner, to now being a leader of a team who we are about to hit 150 team members, Jack, which is a decent size for an allied health business.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Decent size is slightly understated, Tristan. But I think the phrase you used there around being a team leader is an important distinction. With all respect, I would assume you're not the smartest person in a lot of the rooms that you're in. You would have experts around, and even myself, my what we refer to as our client experience officers, our CEOs, which is what we call our receptionists, are far more skilled at their job as receptionists. But yet it's my job to lead them, not to be the smartest, but to help them, release them to do great work and make good decisions. And that is the similar role, whether it's a team of 12 or a team of 150, essentially. Am I right?
Entirely, Jack. I'm a coach. There's no question that I'm a coach from the sidelines, if you will, and I say that with respect. And I've got members of my team who are much better clinicians than I ever was or will ever be, much better managers of a small clinical team than I ever was or ever will be. And of course, I've now got a finance manager, operations manager, customer service team, marketing, HR, all those things. And Jack, there's no part of me that thinks I'm a specialist in any of those things. I'm merely the person who hopefully can peer off into the future and see where we can take this team. And secondly, I can ask the right questions of the right people to then gather the right solution to then move us to the way we're going. And that's about as simple as it gets for me. There's something I learned a while back, and I do my best to remember it, Jack, and that is that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I absolutely subscribe to that idea.
Yeah, definitely agree. That would resonate very strongly with us as well. Can you talk into some practical things around your team? As allied health professionals and owners of private practice clinics, we all want to create amazing experiences for our clients. We can do that one-on-one to an extent. You've taken that by extension to develop amazing experiences for your team to deliver that to clients. How do you surprise and delight and show more love with your team?
Yeah, Jack, there is a short answer to that, and that is to be as human as humanly possible.
Profound. Simple, but profound.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is Jess, who is part of the exec team at the Physio Co, she's part of my close team. So I guess just to go backwards for one moment, is that I'm a coach of a small executive team these days. There's 5 of us in the exec team, and I lead that exec team. And then from there, it cascades out to the exec team being coaches of their own teams, and to our wider group of TPCs who do the important job of helping our senior clients stay mobile, safe, and happy. But I think I've forgotten the question, Jack. How do you show love?
How do you show love with your team?
Good, thank you. Show love is, so you're right. With the story I was going to say about Jessie, my team, is that her 6th TPC anniversary happened 2 weeks ago. She has been a member of the Physio Co team for 6 years, and we've got a rhythm of the way we communicate around anniversary. We celebrate at every possible opportunity. However, I know Jess starts work early, as do I. And so I called her at 7:45 in the morning on her 6th anniversary. I said, Jess, how's it going? Anything I can help you out with? By the way, I think today's a pretty important day, isn't it? And she said, yeah, it is. It's my 6th TPC anniversary. I said, that's exactly the reason I'm calling you for. So I wanted to wish you a happy anniversary, and thanks for being part of the team. And those little things like that go a long, long way to showing love to people, Jack. So don't forget to smile, say thanks, systemize things like anniversaries, but do it in the most human way you possibly can.
I've heard you speak previously for us at Clinic Mastery, and you said to systemize and humanize. Can you speak to us around sending things in the post or in the mail to land at people's homes and their families, and why that's important?
Sure can. Jack, we spend our lives online with electronic communication, emails, SMSs, Slack, Zoom, you name it. We do it all. And all those things, as I hold up my smartphone right here, they're all tucked away in a device that the only person that ever sees them is the team member. And they may scan them very, very quickly, or they may hover over them for a moment, but they're fleeting images that do pass by our eyes and our minds. On the flip side, something that lands in your post office box or in your mailbox at home gets opened up in an envelope, ends up on the coffee table or on the fridge, has a whole much longer shelf life than an email sort of thing. It's also more memorable. And so I'm a big fan of sending personalised handwritten cards to people on their birthdays, on their anniversaries of working with the Physio Co. And also one of my jobs for today, Jack, is on my top 5 list of priorities is to draft a letter which will go to the mailboxes of every member of the Physio Co family, which will be a brief update from me. And it will go out within the next few days as a Happy Easter message from the CEO, but also an update of what's going on. And it will land with a small chalky gift for Easter to say, thanks so much for being a member of the Physio Co family. Here's where we're up to. Here's the way you're contributing. Love your work. Thanks so much. And have an awesome Easter.
It's amazing. And I think what you stated previously is that the importance of that landing in the letterbox is it's not just the clinician who receives it and that lasts for a little bit of time, but the family gets to see that, the spouse or the partner, the kids, and that work isn't something that takes away from the family, but rather work is something that helps create a space that they can have a really functional family. So that's fantastic. And I know there's many examples in the book of how you show more love across your team. So I'd certainly recommend that listeners check that out in the book. You mentioned there very quickly, and I want to lean into this a bit more around your top 5 things to do for the day. Can we shift gears and put on your business owner hat here now? And let's talk about productivity and getting things done. You've got a large team of 150, but you're the coach of your small exec team. How do you function as an entrepreneur and prioritize what's urgent, what's important? How do you make sure you're doing the most important things in your day?
Jack, what I do is I'm not, some people would say I'm very organised and very planned, and I would say I'm still got a long, long way to go on where I can get to on that. But something I am committed to, and we do share it as an exec team or as a support team at the Physio Co. Every single day we have a daily huddle at 10:05, and each member of our team, it's about half a dozen of us who attend that call every day, share our top 3 priorities for the day. And what they are is if today gets completely derailed and you get 1,000 calls or something goes wrong or the like, and you're not sure where you're up to, there's still a top 3 list of the most important things you'll get done, and you'll focus on the first one first, then get that done, then move on to the second, and then move on to the third. And it just means that we are taking time to plan what's important, decide what we're going to get done, and then focus on doing those small but important things which will move the Physio Co forward to where it needs to go, as opposed to just running on a treadmill of dealing with the inbox that continually fills up even as soon as you send a message. There's a few more. And so really deciding what your priorities are and then working through them is something I'm very committed to. And as I reach to my left, I pick up my productivity planner, which is a little journal that I use every single day, and it helps me to plan the important tasks of the week and then the important tasks of the day. And at the end of every day, it says, hey, Tristan, let's rate yourself out of 10 as to how productive you were and what worked and what didn't work, and then let's do it all again tomorrow. And so there's a continuous improvement process that enables me to review what I'm doing and how I can get better and more effective over time.
I love it. So I think a couple of key lessons there is to share it with your team as well. Otherwise, we get stuck in the endless to-do lists or inboxes. But when you've communicated that with the team, there's an inherent accountability involved. So, that's really interesting. How else do you manage your life? What do you do now as the founder and CEO of a large organisation that you wish you had done or had started previously? And that might be productivity around work or managing your family and home life. What do you do now that you wish you'd started years ago?
What do I do now? I reckon, Jack, one thing it's served me really well over a long period of time, and I've taken it to the extreme these days, and I'll get to that. But but spending some time outside the clinic or outside the office and having a work environment that involves engaging with your team, being a leader of a team and coaching from on the court, if you will, but then getting out of the office, out of the clinic for two reasons. One, it allows me respite to think and have a clearer mind and be more effective and productive because I'm out of the way and there's less distractions. And two, to get the hell out of the way of my team and let them get on with doing the job. Because as much as clinic owners and business owners, we like to add value. And there comes a time when you need to realise that the value we're adding is only valuable to your own ego, and it's not necessarily valuable to everyone that's continually getting, dare I say, feedback from the boss, who could really set the task clearly and then get out of the way and allow people to achieve their own job. So the answer, Jack, is to work from home or out of the office for at least a day a week is something I'd love. I wish I'd started sooner. Not to abdicate my responsibility, but to create the space to actually be even more effective.
Yeah, I would certainly agree. I found that when I get out of the way and work either remotely from a cafe or from home, that I get more done. So your headspace is clearer, you're in a different stimulating environment, and your team get more done so they don't feel like that the boss is watching over their shoulder. They can get on it and do the great work that they've been hired to do. So that's really interesting, Tristan. We're really thankful for your time and for what you've contributed to the physio profession and allied health in general around leading teams with culture and making sure that that team experience really is the framework to deliver amazing client experiences. If people want to find out more about you or about your book, where should they head?
Yeah, the best place is to head over to my home on the web, Jack, which is tristanwhite.com.au. It's the best place to find a whole few hundred blog posts about leading a team, and you can download a free chapter of that book that we've mentioned once or twice and grab yourself a copy if you're interested.
Brilliant. Highly recommended. That book is one of my top 5 all-time reads. Tristan, thank you personally for the input that you've had from afar over the years, and I've really enjoyed this chat. And if listeners, if you'd like to learn anything more, you can check out the show notes at www.clinicmastery.com/podcast. All the show notes will be there. The timeline will be there. And if you're serious about taking your clinic to the next level, you can enroll in our Grow My Clinic free online course there, which will help you grow your clinic. Tristan, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Jack. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for listening on. We'll be with you another episode really soon.
This is the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery, where we help you deliver amazing client experiences to grow your clinic.